hoops tonight from Bloomington, Indiana at Assembly Hall. And the Cream and Crimson have their green as Devontae Green makes his first start of the season for an injured Rob Finney and teams up with Romeo Langford and the rest of the 22nd-ranked Hoosiers in their non-conference finale. Basketball on BTN is presented by Jeep. Indiana welcomes Jacksonville. With Jess Settles, Mike Monaco on hand, and Jess, when Rob Finney went out on Wednesday night, Devontae Green stepped in and stepped up for the Hoosiers.
Devontae Green was spectacular against Central Arkansas, knocking in a career-high 6 triples. With Finney out today, look for Green to have another impactful game.
Well, let's dive right into the starting lineups presented by Jeep for this one. As you look at Green's 19-point performance, Rob Finney out in the concussion protocol still. So Green is in there for Jacksonville. Jace Hogan, the only senior, he averages 14 a game. And for the Hoosiers, Jess, look for Juwan Morgan to get going early.
Archie Miller wants his Hoosiers to feed Juwan Morgan early and often. The senior is having an All-American year, and Jacksonville should have no answer for him on the block, Mike.
You mentioned the game against Central Arkansas here on Wednesday. It was a bit of a slow start for the Hoosiers. They have dealt with that this season. So Archie Miller said to us at shoot-around today, we challenged Juwan Morgan coming out of that game, and we want him to be an alpha for our team.
He wants him to be very aggressive from the opening tip. He does not want him to be a passer, and he wants the rest of the Hoosiers to move the ball quickly. The ball's been sticking in these first 5 minutes. Let's see if they can get the ball swung around the perimeter and attack open gaps.
The other big key for Archie Miller, he wants to see defensive intensity against this 7-6 Jacksonville squad. There's Morgan being an alpha right away. Got a block on the inside on Hogan.
Great job by Morgan, walling up, timing the shot, and sending it into the seats. He does it at both ends of the court. That's why we said he's an All-American candidate, and he's also a Player of the Year candidate in the Big Ten.
So here's Indiana with it for the first time. 10-2, ranked for a second straight week. But like we said, slow starts and turnovers have been issues early on. Devontae Green too strong on the jumper, and Jace Hogan secures the rebound.
And that's really not the shot that Coach Miller wants. He wants that ball to go inside. Green can get that anytime throughout the shot clock.
Jacksonville goes inside, and there's Hogan, the redshirt senior from Florida, averages 14 and 5. Traveling the call on Green.
I tell you, Mike, turnovers are contagious. And we see right away a poor shot and then a walk with the ball.
We asked Archie Miller about it today, and he says it hasn't been any one guy, but it has been such a problem in these first 4-minute segments that they call wars from media timeout to media timeout. Jacksonville underneath has the 4-0 lead. There's Jalen Hinton, sophomore from Boston.
A great job slipping for the second time to the basket. The Dolphins won a side ball screen against Indiana, and so far they're 2 for 2.
There is Romeo Langford, the star freshman from New Albany, Indiana, downstate. Morgan on the block with Hinton, a big shot blocking presence on him. He can't stop Morgan.
Well, you notice there's no double team, and if there is no double team, then that's an early Christmas present for Juwan Morgan. He's going to have 40 in this game. We'll watch that early, but they have to send help.
You dug into Jacksonville's defensive film, and that's been their MO this season. They're going to let their guys go one-on-one in the post.
And they won't get away with it too long.
What a pass from Morgan to Justin Smith.
So we see the block shot at one end, we see the baby hook, and now we see the Magic Johnson pass by Juwan Morgan.
We're going to dig into his passing numbers throughout his career as well. What an open court find to a high flyer in Smith. Hogan on the baseline, can't respond. Hinton's got it. Up through the contact, can't finish. Green off those 6 3-pointers on a Wednesday doesn't get the roll. Jacksonville's had a mighty tough Hoosier State road swing the last few days. They played at Notre Dame on Thursday. Hinton has it blocked again by Morgan. Green takes the bump, and a blocking foul called on the baseline.
Well, there's just nothing that Juwan Morgan can't do on a basketball court. This is why he's one of the top passers in the Big Ten. He blocks it, he runs. And look, if there's no double team, you can't stop him. Nice job, nice touch. Another block party, helping Smith out. He's been brilliant.
So we said Archie Miller was looking for Juwan Morgan to play like a senior in these first few minutes. You can't draw it up any better from him.
Well, he had a talk with him, and he had 35 points against Butler, and then he comes back against Central Arkansas and only takes 6 shots. That's how unselfish he is. But sometimes if you're unselfish, you're hurting your team. And Archie Miller said, look, let's not mess around today. Get established early, take over the game. And so far, he's gotten the message loud and clear.
Devontae Green, in his first start of the season, splits at the line, gives Indiana a 1-point lead 3 minutes in. Here's J.D. Note, who Jacksonville brings off the bench, but he's the top scorer on the team at 15 a game. Tyrese Davis, talented freshman, goes off the bounce. He averages 9 per. Morgan sets the ball screen for Devontae Green and then posts up. Durham swings it back to Langford. He has struggled from three-point range his last 4 games. He's now 3 for his last 22 from deep.
It's no secret what Jacksonville wants to do on offense. They cannot shoot the 3 very well, so everything's going to be a dribble drive or entry feed, so Indiana has to wall up.
Dave Bell skipped it to the outside, and Jacksonville, like you said, not prolific from deep. That miss from Amani Santos, the point guard. Durham knifes toward the bucket, gets the friendly roll.
You see on the side ball screen, Jacksonville does not hedge and take away the drive. Durham takes advantage of it, and that was a beautiful kiss off the glass.
And that means, if it continues all night, that Indiana's guards can be very active, right?
And Archie wanted them to turn the corner hard. They knew in the scouting report that it didn't hedge, so they attacked.
Offensive foul called on Dave Bell, the big man, and the Ohio State transfer. Juwan Morgan leading the way early on for the Hoosiers, doing a little bit of everything for Indiana, up by 1. Heavy hearts here in Bloomington tonight as longtime IU beat writer Terry Hutchins passed away yesterday at the age of 60 following a car crash Monday. 5-time Indiana Sports Writer of the Year, a guy who is just respected and loved by so many here. They've got that plaque where he sat always in the press room. They will keep that seat open for him all year. And they've got the seat on press row as well, and just difficult news to stomach this week.
Yeah, it's really tragic. The entire state is in mourning, and we just wish the best to his family. He was such a great guy to see him at all the games, and a very talented writer.
Guy who's written 10 books about Indiana University. And an outpouring of love and support for Hutch, his family. You see it from the likes of not just Archie Miller, but Tom Crean, Jordan Holes, Colin Hartman as well. Purdue men's basketball chiming in too. Couple misses at the line from Dave Bell, and so the Hoosiers with it up by 1. Green nearly turned that over. Morgan working one-on-one against Bell, and again, no double team yet from Jacksonville.
I just don't understand it. I mean, Indiana just has to pound it in every time. There's no one on that front line who can stop him. You have to see a double coming on the next couple of possessions.
Green, nice job to dig down on Bell, who is matched up with Morgan. Note can shoot it, and he gets the bounce for 3 from the corner.
It's very rare when your best player comes off the bench, but he comes in and gives them some firepower, and that's one guy Indiana does have to find.
Sophomore from the Atlanta, Georgia area, was the reigning ASUN freshman of the year last season. Davis, a freshman this year, answers right back, and Jacksonville has a couple consecutive threes. Green turns the corner. And here come the Dolphins with it. Santos has not shot it well yet. Smith skies, but it gets tapped back to Hogan for 2 more.
Right now, Indiana getting out hustled. Green has to sprint back. They got discombobulated defensively, didn't get the offensive rebound. And Jacksonville right where they need to be 6 minutes into this game on the road.
An 8-0 run in the last minute for Jacksonville. Al Durham spots up, hits a three.
It's a great pass, right in the shooter's pocket. Looked good from the beginning.
Durham, the sophomore from Georgia, has hit it 38% from deep so far this year. He's got the assignment on Notek. Indiana defends ball screens much differently than Jacksonville does. Hogan drives with the shot clock winding down, and Morgan already with his 4th rebound. Very adept passing out of the post. Langford carves out some space and scores his first 2.
When Morgan has the ball, you have to cut with integrity, and that's what Romeo did. He flew into the lane, showed both hands, and went up strong.
And isn't that a skill that Langford has done so well early on in his rookie season?
I mean, there's just no part of his game that hasn't gotten better. I mean, he doesn't take the summers off. He's a great example for young players.
Justin Smith with it off the turnover. Strong drive, and Smith will head to the free throw line as we go back at Langford cutting through the paint.
Morgan is always looking for the open shooter. You see the Jacksonville defender turns his head. Romeo slips in. Nice little Kobe Bryant jumper in the middle. Used the pivot foot well, shouldered up. But when you play with Jordan Morgan, how can you not get easy baskets throughout the course of a game? He just loves to pass. He likes passing more than scoring. I mean, he's just a Player of the Year candidate because he stuffs a stat sheet. We've seen the blocks, we've seen the assists, the way he runs the floor. Just love watching him play. And he's better in person than he is on television, right, Mike?
Yeah, he is fun to watch. Got to look at Al Durham checking out. Demezy Anderson enters for Indiana. He's going to play a more prominent role, not just because Rob Finney is out in the concussion protocol. Zach McRoberts is out again today. His back has flared up. He did not participate in shoot-around, though he was dressed, and he's in street clothes tonight.
There's no doubt they're beat up. They need some time off to get healed.
Anderson is 23, matched up on the perimeter on Davis. Hogan a long 2 with the shot clock winding down, and Anderson's got the board. Tough catch in the post for Morgan. Anderson, good.
Another tremendous assist. Jacksonville did double on that play, which is what they have to do. It's really pick your poison. And when you're an undersized team, you have to take something away, and that time they did, and Indiana made them pay with a nice long-range bomb.
A 9-0 run for the Hoosiers, capped off by the 3 from Anderson, who's got his first point since November 20th against UT Arlington. Davis drives right at Smith and draws a foul and will shoot 2 on the other side. Jacksonville had an 8-0 run. Indiana right back with a 9-0 surge of its own. Happy holidays from Bloomington, Indiana. The Hoosiers trying to complete an undefeated month for the first time since 2012 as we welcome you back to Assembly Hall. Former Iowa great Jess Settles, Mike Monaco on hand here, and this is the non-conference finale for Indiana, and then nearly 2 weeks off before they get back into the relaunch of Big Ten play.
Well, they've been brilliant down the stretch, that's for sure. Their record is very solid. They just need to get a little healthier, stop turning the ball over, but Rob Finney makes plays at the end of games, and that's why I'm so bullish on Indiana. They have a chance to win the Big Ten Conference, go deep into the NCAA tournament with the leadership of Juwan Morgan as well.
These are some of the games that the Hoosiers have won in comeback fashion throughout this year. Of course, 2-0 so far in the Big Ten, a couple 2-point wins over Northwestern and then Penn State as well. And then how about the big shot from Finney in the Crossroads Classic Saturday against Butler?
Well, it's hard to become a legend in Indiana, but no one will ever forget that shot. They're not always early to the party, but they're never late. They come down the stretch and make the plays, and that's the armor of a championship caliber team.
Evan Fitzner has checked in for the Hoosiers out of the timeout. He is 55. Stretch shooter for Indiana. Langford misses a long 2. post up on Tyrese Davis. Straight on for J.D. Note, an explosive score. Missed it short. Devontae Green takes the contact and gets a foul draw. Tony Jasic is the head coach for Jacksonville in his 5th season after he spent 3 years as the head coach at IPFW. And before that at IPFW, he had been an assistant under Dane Fife. But he hasn't been back in this building since he reffed an AAU tournament when he was about 20 years old here at Assembly Hall.
He's doing a solid job for the Dolphins. And he told us before this game the key for them was to take quality shots. Mike, and he knew if they took quality shots and knocked in some easy ones and they could stop Indiana's transition. And so far, his guys have been following the scouting report. They're hitting the shots they need to hit and not giving up a lot of easy layups at the other end.
Yeah, shot selection was so important for him so that Indiana couldn't get out and run. Juwan Morgan has 3 blocks already. Jacksonville kept control of it, but then Hogan lost it. Langford in the pick and roll. Good hands from Morgan underneath.
He's always in the right place at the right time. That one ricocheted around a little bit, but it came up to Morgan, and tremendous unselfishness by Romeo Langford. Great 2-man game on the wing there.
Morgan trying to wall off Hogan. Another nice job defensively.
Well, the reason he's so good defensively is because he stays on the floor, and then he times the pass perfectly.
Langford the reverse slam.
Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Well, if you look up, he's right above you.
Bringing the Shakespeare early, huh? Foul called on the perimeter goes on Romeo Langford, his first after he had one of the slams for the Hoosiers.
Cut with integrity, Hoosiers. Brilliant pass. Nice up and under. There's the side ball screen. I'll give it right back to you, Phil. Those two are playing so well together. Nothing like playing with a teammate who makes good passes.
Remember, this team trying to figure it out offensively. The first game without Rob Fennessy, who left early on in the first half of Wednesday's game against Central Arkansas. Dave Bell draws a foul inside. Well, next Saturday, a men's hoop doubleheader returns with Ohio State and the Tubby Smith-led High Point squad meeting at noon. Then Tom Izzo's Spartans take on Northern Illinois at 2. It's Big Ten basketball presented by Jeep next Saturday right here on BTN. Speaking of teams that share the basketball well, how about Michigan State and what they've done with Cassius Winston leading that group?
He's probably the best passer in the Big Ten, and what's so amazing about him, Mike, is he never turns the ball over. You get 10, 12 assists out of him, and maybe 1 turnover a game. He pushes that break. They have a spectacular fast break team. It's not like they're walking it up. I just have never seen those kind of numbers before.
Midway through this first half, Indiana up by 6.
Let's see if the Hoosiers can get Davis going on the post.
Demezy Anderson hit a 3 earlier. There is Davis, the offensive rebound. Unselfish pass to Fitzner, who will go to the free throw line.
And Davis gives Indiana a lot of hope. The healthier he gets, the stronger he gets, the tougher they are. He didn't get the ball in the post there, but he went up and snatched it off the glass, and passing is contagious. He made another spectacular pass to his teammate, but the healthier he gets, it just gives Indiana another weapon on the post.
Junior from the Denver area, whose goal this month has been to get his weight down to about 250 pounds, and he's in there right now alongside Evan Fitzner, the grad transfer from St. Mary's.
It's just very difficult to get in shape when you have an Achilles injury. We talked to Tim Garl, the legendary trainer around here earlier, and it's just you do a lot of water training, but you can't get out on the court and run around.
Davis is in the middle of that pack line defense. Fitzner goes up to challenge Hinton. Boy, the interior defense has been excellent for the Hoosiers so far. Bell can't finish, and it's Indiana basketball. Ron Davis slow to get up. As if Tim Garl needed something else on his plate. We talked to him today. He says he just has not really seen anything like this, the way all the injuries have mounted this year.
They just can't afford to lose anyone else heading into conference play. Hopefully he's okay.
Looks like some friendly fire there from Devontae Green. Davis, of course, who has dealt with the torn Achilles that he suffered last year in an early January practice and missed the game actually due to a left foot issue earlier this season as well. Tough step back for Green, too strong. Morgan battles on the glass and draws a foul on the baseline.
Well, Coach Miller wants the ball to be moved around, and you know, you hate to harp on it, but Green's got to make better decisions. I mean, conference play starts right around the corner. He has to move the ball, swing the ball. They've already proven that no one can stop them on the post, so that's a low percentage shot that maybe doesn't burn you in this game, but it does against Illinois in a week.
Entry pass denied. Yeah, that's been the message from Archie Miller for Devontae Green. Facilitator first, scorer second as he tries to run the point without Rob Finney. Hinton turned it over on the baseline. Indiana wants to get out and run if it can. Anderson keeps it alive to Green. Morgan cuts to the block. Fouls on the floor.
Tremendous pass by Green. Kept his composure, put it right in Morgan's numbers, and he heads to the free throw line.
Jacksonville, number 13, Bryce Workman. His first, the team's sixth.
Great job diving on the floor, coming up with the 50-50 ball. Pays big dividends over the course of 40 minutes.
And you said a fine pass there by Green. Archie Miller has said that he is our best passer. He's got great vision from that guard spot. Anderson around the screen, too strong on a long two. Jacksonville hasn't made a field goal in the last 6.5 minutes, and now Note turns it over. Green ahead of the pack to Al Durham.
That's how you turn defense into offense. I like what Jacksonville's doing, trying to drive the basketball, but it's one thing to get across the front line. But the bigs for Indiana are just disrupting so many things that they do a great job of outletting it and running down the court for an easy bucket.
Note got free off the shot fake for two. It's Green, Durham, Anderson, Morgan, and Fitzner, the five on the floor. Rebound, Note.
Another great pass by Green. Fitzner needs to knock that one in, but that's Indiana basketball. A little dribble penetration, find the open shooter, and that's a high percentage look.
And isn't that exactly what Archie Miller means? He said to us today, we want to play inside out offensively. Putback slam for Jalen Hinton rising above.
Juwan Morgan had to come over and help. There was no one on the backside to clean up. Nice flush.
One of the most athletic players in the A-Sun is on Jacksonville, and Jalen Hinton. He's only 6'5", averages nearly 3 blocks a game. There's one of those tough threes. Step back for Devontae Green.
Well, he's fun to coach. You never know what he's going to do, but Indiana needs outside shooting, and that's a low percentage shot that he made look easy.
He nearly drew a push-off on Santos. Note trying to heat up for Jacksonville cannot. Hoosiers by 8 with the basketball. Good find. No look from Green, and Morgan had it stripped by Note. Corner kick out to Tanner Rubio. An excellent three-point shooter misfires. Double dribble on Anderson. Well, Indiana wants to get out and run. Devontae Green off the turnover with the find. Up ahead, Al Durham, the slam for Indiana, playing above the rim here in Assembly Hall, and up on Jacksonville by 8. Ball on BTN is presented by Jeep. Hurry in for great deals at the Jeep Big Finish sales event. And by State Farm, here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today. Awesome crowd, as always, inside Assembly Hall on this holiday weekend. No students, and it doesn't really matter one bit. Jess Settles.
I saw guys standing outside with "I need ticket" signs. I mean, you just don't see that this time of year. Such a beautiful sanctuary for basketball. The floor is the best one in the Big Ten, and there's nothing better than watching a game courtside in Indiana.
Been a little while since you've been back here, right?
It's been 20 years. I've never won here, but sure love playing here.
Santos too strong inside the three-point arc, and Al Durham leads Indiana back. Juwan Morgan has done a little bit of everything so far for the Hoosiers. Weaves that pass to Durham. And then Tanner Rubio picks up the foul, and that is the 7th on Jacksonville with 4:58 to go in the first half.
Well, during that timeout, Archie said, let's go back to the post, let's start things inside, and once again, it worked out for them. But I like what Jacksonville's doing offensively, driving the ball into the paint. The only problem is they can't get it up by the rim because of the shot blockers for Indiana. But look for them the next couple possessions to drive it and kick it like they did on their last possession to Rubio. That was a quality look. You stay away from the shot blockers and try to knock in an open shot. That's about the only way they could do it. But Indiana's just so much more athletic around the rim, Mike.
Yep, 4 blocks for the Hoosiers. 3 of them belong to Juwan Morgan. 6 points, 6 rebounds. You see the assists, the blocks. He has 2 steals as well for good measure.
Well, he's flirting with a quadruple double at this point.
Indiana, by the way, has struggled at the free throw line this season, but Al Durham good on both. Note a step back. Morgan's got another rebound momentarily, and it stays with the Hoosiers coming out of their own end.
Well, just not a wise shot by Note. He's able to get by the first line of defense, and he has to drive and kick. A step-back 3 on the road against a Big Ten team is a low percentage shot. They're still in this game. They need to gain some momentum going into halftime with quality drives.
Romeo Langford from up top. Again, he has struggled with his shooting. Archie Miller has said he thinks that's fairly typical for younger players, that might come as the season goes along for Romeo Langford.
It's tough to shoot with that wrap on his hand, but I don't mind that shot. He's a playmaker. He needs to get himself going.
Hogan, the only senior for Jacksonville, back out to Davis. Durham's got the rebound. Indiana wants to push.
This ball has to go inside to Morgan on the block, and they have to play off of him.
Langford on the baseline drive, rolls it in.
He has a full arsenal of shots, and it's just a matter of what he's choosing to do when he's in the air.
Got a lot of time up there as well to think about it. Strong take from J.D. Note high off the glass.
Romeo is one of those few players that can make up his mind when he's gliding through the air what he's going to do.
Langford in close. Hogan, baseline jumper is smooth.
Number 14 scores, Jace Hogan.
Morgan wants it and gets it from Durham. Morgan spins back off the window.
Well, the reason that worked, Mike, is because Indiana swung the basketball twice from side to side, compressed the defense, got Jacksonville confused. Morgan took advantage of the mismatch, and you got to send the double. Mike, you have to send the double, and Indiana has to keep feeding him the ball.
A little bit of everything so far from Juwan Morgan. He leads a balanced Hoosiers attack here at home in Bloomington. Many have talked about Juwan Morgan's passing this season, and this is one way to illustrate it. Ken Pomeroy's assist rate, essentially Juwan Morgan's assists divided by his teammates' made shots, and you see it has increased throughout his career here in Bloomington.
I think the biggest thing is, Mike, is that the older that he has gotten, He no longer tries to conquer mismatches. He no longer, we haven't seen him double teamed a lot in this game, but he no longer tries to conquer the double team. So he has his head up. He's thinking pass first. These are just spectacular passes. There aren't many forwards in the country who can put the ball in a guy's pocket like that. But I also love his leadership. It's very difficult to have a kid like Romeo Langford come in with all the hype. But Juwan Morgan took him under his arm right from the beginning and made him feel right at home.
Well, he fires out another pass
right
to Al Durham, and Morgan has matched a career high now with 5 assists in 18 minutes of play.
That's why we say he's an All-American candidate, and we don't apologize for that. I mean, do we have to put All-Americans, pick All-Americans now who are just great dunkers and lottery picks? No. We pick guys who are well-rounded.
A tip is there on the baseline for J.D. Note. He's got a team-high 9 for Jacksonville. And I know you think that Juwan Morgan is right in that top tier of conversation as far as player of the year candidates in the conference.
Well, if you're a basketball coach or you know the game, it's not just about scoring. It's about making your teammates better, taking the freshman under your arm, winning, and stuffing a stat sheet. And he does all those things well.
Long 3 for Devontae Green doesn't go. Coming up, we've got the State Farm halftime report. Mike Hall, John Crispin will be there to wrap you up on a busy day that we've had going on here on BTN and around the conference as well. Good feed for Jace Hogan, and he draws a foul on Morgan, his first.
Hogan posted hard on that one. Great seal. He's been playing hard in this game. Jacksonville only 13 down. If they can knock a couple free throws in here, get back, slow down Indiana's transition, try to do something with Morgan. They're hanging around. I think at this point in the game they'll take where they are at with the way they shoot the basketball. They struggle from beyond the arc, so they have to keep attacking the paint, and they're also carrying out their game plan.
Yeah, Jacksonville got a couple threes early on. Those came on consecutive possessions, but otherwise 7 misses from beyond the arc. And a good sign for Indiana, Deron Davis, who appeared to be poked in the eye earlier by Devontae Green inadvertently, returns just before halftime.
Let's see if they can get a screen for Davis and post him up and feed him inside and get him going.
It was really effective in the win over Louisville here at Assembly Hall. Green tracks down his own miss. Good find to Justin Smith on the block. How about the passing from the Hoosiers this half?
Beautiful pass, but the reason that worked is because Davis didn't give up on the missed shot. He got a fingertip on it, kept it alive. Green recovered it, and the rest is history.
Well, now let's take a look at this message from ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire and the official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference.
Hiring delays were causing work to pile up. That's not smart. But you know what is smart? Using ZipRecruiter. They find people with the right skills, education, and experience for my job and actively invite them to apply. So I got qualified candidates fast. No wonder ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S.
ZipRecruiter, official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Big Ten.
Indiana up by 14, and Devontae Green might be 1 of 7 shooting, but boy, this is an excellent feed to Justin Smith.
Great job by Davis, keeping it alive. Cut with integrity. Smith, Green's going, why don't you throw that down? You're one of the best dunkers in the league. You can't lay that off the glass. Wants to be a BTN standout.
Yeah,
Can't get those laying it in.
Well, Justin Smith with nearly a huge block on Hinton. But Smith tagged for the foul. And Archie Miller, we are professional lip readers, just said that is all ball.
Well, and he's right. I mean, you got to give him the block on that one. Justin Smith. Challenge at the rim.
My goodness. 4 blocks from Indiana already this half. Nearly a monstrous 5th one.
I'm not calling that one. Mike, what about you?
The whistle is firmly down your throat if you're the official there. Jacksonville has struggled at the free throw line this half. Otherwise, may have inched closer. slight difference between game and shot clocks. Green off the shake. Scoop to the hoop for two.
He's so good at that. He needs to do that more often.
Off the mark from Tyrese Davis to close out the first half for Indiana.
Indiana plays hard. They rebound well, and they're extremely unselfish. We've seen some spectacular passing by the Hoosiers heading into halftime.
Well, still ahead, we've got the State Farm halftime report from Chicago with Mike and John as Indiana tries to close out the non-conference portion of the schedule and get to 11-2 at home in Bloomington. Back in Bloomington, getting ready for the second half. Indiana up by 15 on Jacksonville, and without Rob Finney, they've shot nearly 60% from the floor. Done a pretty good job defensively as well on Jacksonville. As we welcome you back inside Assembly Hall with Jess Settles, Mike Monaco here. And so, yeah, no Rob Finney. This Indiana team has shared the basketball. They've had some flashy assists to this point.
Well, Archie Miller wanted to work through Jawan Morgan, and when you cut with integrity, he will hit you right where you need. He has 5 assists in this game. Spectacular passing by the Hoosiers has led to so many easy buckets. There's Green running down the loose ball, and that was a playground pass to Smith. Nice kiss off the glass. Another one-handed half-court bounce pass. Tremendous job of running the floor. And this is what Jacksonville wanted to prevent, these easy run-outs. But if you run and you wear the Hoosier uniform, your teammate will find you. And it's been a very unselfish first half for Indiana.
Some of the 9 assists, our State Farm assists of the game for Indiana. What is it, only bounce passes today? Is that the only thing we're going to tolerate?
I taught you the last game that bounce pass is the only pass to make.
Hoosiers up by 15 as we start the second half. Devontae Green draws a foul, and it is a shooting foul. Amani Santos, the redshirt junior point guard, picks it up.
Great action up top by Green. He probed the paint, nice hesitation dribble, and then attack. He got himself under control, gets 2 free throws. That's much better than driving in there out of control and throwing something up that doesn't have a chance of going in.
His first start of the season. Again, if you joined us late, Rob Finney still in the concussion protocol from what happened to him in the first half Wednesday. Green played all 20 minutes. What'd you think of him in the first half?
Well, he was a little reckless at times, and he was brilliant at other times. And so if he becomes more consistent, especially with Finney out, then Indiana's a much better team. But he shows you what he's capable of. And when he plays well and shoots the ball well, especially, Indiana's tough.
Justin Smith was matched up on the interior on Jalen Hinton, who missed the shot. Jacksonville still in the low 30s with its field goal percentage. Morgan finds Smith on the baseline for 2. Jawan Morgan has had excellent vision tonight.
He keeps his head up. He saw the double team come from across. Smith did the right thing. When your man goes to double, Mike, you cut to the basket. Another tremendous pass by Jawan Morgan.
Santos probes the baseline and sends it back out to Davis. And it stays with Jacksonville.
Substitution, Jacksonville, J.D.
Of course, so many injuries this season for Indiana. You get a look at Zach McRoberts, who had the back flare up on him again. Of course, he was injured earlier in the season. And we asked Archie Miller at shoot-around today, have you seen anything like this in your coaching career? And he couldn't think of really many examples that compare to what's happened this year.
And he's concerned about practice, right? A hard time getting quality practice in when 4 or 5 of your top players are sitting over on the sideline with ice on their knees and their backs.
Jerome Hunter, Race Thompson, of course, have been out as well, as Romeo Langford's into double figures with 10.
Great job by Jawan Morgan freeing his teammate. He's been setting that high ball screen. Langford brought it back across, knocked in the open shot.
And Tony Jasic takes a timeout just over 90 seconds into this second half. All 6 points so far in the second half belong to Romeo Langford and the Hoosiers.
Well, Juwan Morgan is doing everything for the Hoosiers, stuffing the stat sheet, but he also does the things that don't show up on a stat sheet. He sets quality screens. Here's Langford with the ball up top. Here comes Morgan. He has several options off of this, but he jumps to the other side. Great job of pinning the defender. That leads to the open jumper. Those things don't show up, Mike, but coaches see them, and that's why Archie Miller and his staff love to have Juwan Morgan on the court.
And smart from Morgan and Langford because of the way we know that Jacksonville defends ball screens, right?
That's exactly right. Their bigs don't do a very good job of closing out on shooters.
Hogan tried to close out there on Justin Smith, who's got the baseline jumper to drop and has 9 points.
How happy are Indiana fans to see him knocking in his jumper? I mean, that's the part of his game that has to go to another level.
Hogan too strong with a line drive jumper, and Green the rebound. Indiana has 5 different players, including Smith, with at least 8 points. Hogan blocks Smith. DeAnthony McCallum, scoring threat off the bench, misses, and Morgan's outlet ahead to Smith. On the step through, lays it in.
Great job by Smith running the court, attacking the rim. You're going to get fouled or you're going to get a high percentage shot.
Good battle by Hinton on the offensive glass, and now Note with it. Langford stays with Davis. Nice pass underneath and a foul drawn by Hinton.
That's what Jacksonville's had success with. They've been able to get some dribble penetration, hit the open man, but around the rim, it's almost like a turnover because Indiana just swatting things into the seats. Now, they picked up the foul right there, but you got to drive baseline and put a shooter on the other wing. Jacksonville obviously does not shoot the three very well, but still, it's a game of percentages, and they're just running out of ammunition when they get that close to the rim. There's just no way to get it through the length of Smith and Morgan.
More length for Indiana as Fitzner returns. Yeah, tough combo to go against if you don't have the length in size to go up against Indiana's front line and you don't have the perimeter shooting for drive and dish.
That's exactly right. And the teams the last couple of years who have come in here and upset Indiana have been able to drive, dish, and knock down the open shot.
Well, one of those teams, IPFW, now known as Purdue Fort Wayne, has come in here, gotten wins in a couple of the last seasons. That's a coach, John Kaufman, as Green scores for the Hoosiers, who followed Tony Jasic at IPFW, the current Jacksonville head coach. But Tony Jasic said, even though I talk to John Kaufman still every single day, we are two teams that are constructed much differently.
That's exactly right. They both know the formula, but the coaches can't shoot the shots for the players, Mike.
Tony Jasic had a lot of fun chatting about John Kaufman, his old assistant, who then supplanted him as the head coach for the Mastodons. Good find by Green, but Evan Fitzner walked with it. That's just the 6th Indiana turnover. Indiana turns it over on 20.5 of its possessions, the worst rate in the Big Ten, but it's been a lot better tonight. Note off the shot fake. Dave Bell, the Ohio State transfer, wrestles down the rebound and then draws a foul.
And that's what we were talking about. Great dribble penetration. Nice kick out to Note. He shot fakes and gets a pretty good look, but can't knock it in. But that's the formula here over the next 10 minutes to try to scratch back into this game. Drive, kick, and pray.
Well, after we're done here, the annual Bragging Rights game finishes our huge day on BTN. It's more Big Ten basketball presented by Jeep with that one from St. Louis after we're done with Kevin Kugler, Stephen Bardo, and Andy Katz. Archie Miller wanted it over and back, and he's letting Bill Elk hear about it. And now a turnover from Jacksonville. Let's have another look. Right off of Hogan, perhaps, and it sends us to a timeout nonetheless with Archie Miller's team up big at home. Early second half, and Indiana is in control on Jacksonville in its non-conference finale. Jess, let's go back to the final play just before that timeout. No control here from Jacksonville.
Yeah, so Archie Miller was correct that Jacksonville did touch the ball, but it doesn't matter. If the ball is not controlled in the front court, it can go over the half line, play on. Good call by the officials.
And Archie Miller's team ended up drawing a turnover in the end, and then nearly gave it right back to the Dolphins. Deflects off the foot of J.D. Notek. So the Hoosiers up big, number 22 in the country, ranked for a second straight week, 10-2 overall, 2-0 in the Big Ten, and they've got a long layoff coming up as they do turn it over before they dive right back into Big Ten play 2 weeks from now.
Well, this is an important 10 to 15 minutes for Indiana going into the break. They don't want to get sloppy. Archie Miller's going to use his bench quite a bit. You want to keep your chemistry, keep momentum going into the break, and you don't want to see a bunch of reckless turnovers.
There's one from Tyrese Davis. Well, the road ahead for Archie Miller's team. They will head for their third conference game right at the beginning of January against Illinois, and then a very difficult stretch.
Well, Jacksonville's going to the zone here, and you want to enter the ball to the high post and let Morgan go to work.
Fitzner, the recipient on the baseline.
Great job of getting it into the teeth of the defense. Juwan Morgan turns and squares up, hits Fitzner. They worked on that for 20 minutes today at practice. What would happen if they face this Jacksonville zone?
Jacksonville had not shown it much this season until Thursday at Notre Dame. More of a 1-1-3 look, and if you're Indiana, their message has been against Tony Jasek's team, get touches on that conference logo.
Right, great job by the coaching staff of Archie Miller's working on that. Even though Jacksonville hasn't done it a lot, they showed it some against Notre Dame the other night. You have to be prepared for everything. And that's exactly where they wanted to enter the ball when they saw the zone.
5 to shoot, Note. Hogan walks with it, and the turnovers piling up for Jacksonville.
Hogan did not want to shoot that ball, but hey, in a game like this, he had to let it fly, Mike. That's the highest percentage shot they could get, and he doesn't shoot it often, but you have to let that one fly.
See the second half to this point in 5+ minutes for Tony Jasek's team. No makes from the floor, and 5 turnovers meanwhile. Al Durham was perfect shooting it in the first half. 4 of 4 for 12 points, and he finally misses. Good look from Hinton to Dave Bell, who draws a foul on Juwan Morgan, his second.
You know, Mike, back to that zone defense. I mean, a few years ago, Nigel Hayes for Wisconsin was one of the best ever in the Big Ten to play that high post against zone. You just could not zone Wisconsin. He'd kick it out to the shooters, Bronson Koenig, to be more specific. But I think Juwan Morgan is right there in that class. When he gets the ball at the high post or in the paint, because of his ability to see the floor, to see his teammates, to be so unselfish, and his ability to drive and shoot, it's just very difficult to zone Indiana because of what he can do.
He goes to the bench with a career-high 7 assists from his forward spot. 8 points, 9 rebounds as well. If you're wondering, Indiana hasn't had a triple-double since 1971.
Get him back in the game, Coach. we want to be a part of history, Mike.
Against the zone, like you said, he could probe it.
That's right.
Fitzner is a knockdown shooter, missed the 3.
Great shot by Fitzner. Tremendous pass by Davis. And you don't just want to come out and launch against the zone. You want to have a plan and a purpose. Get the ball inside, work the short corners, load it, spin it. That's what Indiana's doing, and that's why they're difficult to guard. But so many teams, even at this high major level, come out and see a zone and just start taking bad shots. And that's exactly what the defense wants you to do.
Well, what Archie Miller wants is an explanation of how Demezy Anderson was out of bounds there after a near steal. And now Deron Davis picks up the foul. It's his second, battling Dave Bell in the post.
It's also interesting to see Coach Miller today working so hard on the underneath out-of-bounds plays. He was running that drill. I mean, a lot of times the assistants put in the scout, but Archie wanted every bit of that in instruction.
Jacksonville got it on the block to Davis, and Langford held his ground. And then lost it. Hogan races back, finishes through the contact.
Hogan's going to be an all-conference level player. He's so strong. Looks like a tight end running around. And when he gets his speed going, he's tough to stop.
6'6", 235 pounds. Anderson good with his second three.
Great shot by Anderson. That's the perfect shot at the perfect time. Another assist. You have to step into that's the best shot they could have gotten on that possession.
Freshman out of South Bend, Indiana. Archie Miller said Wednesday that he thought Easy Anderson would get back into the rotation at some point. And again, no Zach McRoberts today. Archie Miller yells at his team to push it. Anderson from the similar spot. Good again.
Well, if the first one goes, shoot the second one. A little heat check. Nothing but net for Anderson.
30-second timeout.
Indiana has extended its lead out to 30. 7 minutes into this second half. Demezy Anderson now with 3 triples for the Hoosiers.
When you're playing against a zone, if you get it to the high post, it compresses the defense, it discombobulates the defense. And when you're as unselfish as Indiana is today, everybody is getting high percentage look. Just happened to be Anderson's turn, and Hoosier fans are loving to see those fall.
A new season high in the rookie's career with 9 points. Told you he's from South Bend, Indiana. He set the county scoring record in his high school days, more than 2,200 points. One of 3 Indiana All-Stars in his recruiting class.
If you can just recruit Indiana, right? If you're Archie Miller, there's usually a couple McDonald's All-Americans and a lot of kids who know how to play. Were born with a basketball in their hands.
A couple more signed for next year, and Hoosier fans hope that grows to 3 in the class. Langford throws it ahead to Deron Davis. Look out! Tyrese Davis drives and scores for the Dolphins. Green has not been able to get it going yet from deep. He's 1 of 5. A held ball will keep it at this end of the floor with Jacksonville.
You have to be able to trust your teammate on the weak side. Nice entry pass by Jacksonville, but there's Green. And if you bring the ball down as a big man, those guards will get in there and lock you up. And that was a tremendous job helping out your teammate when he was beat.
Jacksonville has only shot 30% from the floor. Defensive intensity was the big key for Archie Miller tonight. Foul in the post. Bryce Workman, the freshman for Jacksonville, draws the foul, but Deron Davis for the Hoosiers outrunning in transition. The big fella with his first 2 points tonight, leading this Indiana team up big in the second half at home. Jess Settles, take us to the whiteboard for some ball screen defense.
Yeah, let me show you a clinic defensively for the Hoosiers. Davis hedges hard and switches on the ball. You never leave the ball. He does the right thing here. But if you're a big man, you have to be able to trust your teammate on the backside. Anderson slides down, takes the big. Look at Davis and Anderson communicate. Anderson sprints out, recovers. Davis steps in front, puts his hands up. That is perfect defense. That's Indiana basketball at its finest. That's what Archie Miller talked about today. He wants his bigs to stay with that ball, and he needs the rest of the team to help out when they're in a little trouble.
We said to him, what's the goal of your ball screen defense? He said, get it out of the ball handler's hands. Make someone else make a play around him.
He's going to be proud of his guys on that one because that's how he's coached it, and they took it to the floor.
And the Hoosiers up big with less than 12 to go, second half. Now trying to solve the zone from Jacksonville. Juwan Morgan back into the game. He has 8 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. Anderson's been hot shooting it. 3 to shoot. Al Durham, a running floater is down.
talk about maximizing a possession. And we talked about it before. They haven't played much zone this year, but the Indiana coaching staff was ready for it.
Durham races back the other way and will shoot a pair. 14 now for Durham.
Yeah, how about it? Well, that's a quiet 14. He's done everything right. He's got a perfect game going. You can tell Rob Finney's not around, but the rest of the guys have stepped up against Jacksonville and played pretty well.
Well, hey, when the action ends, the Big Show takes over with highlights from around the conference, analysis, and more. The Big Show tonight at 10 Eastern. Durham thought he had some free throws coming his way. Green slices to the rack, and it goes back the way of Jacksonville.
Yeah, and that's the good and the bad, right? I mean, he's made so many spectacular plays in this game, but that's such a low percentage shot, and there's no way an official's going to bail you out for a floater or a flipper like that.
Tyrese Davis nearly lost it. And the foul's on Al Durham, his second.
Indiana's a dangerous team once conference play kicks back up. I mean, they already have 2 wins. But who do you guard? You know, on every possession, they have somebody who can hurt you in one way or another.
Well, Langford and Morgan both average right around 17 points a game each. And then the question has been, who's the third scorer? And Archie Miller has said as recently as this week, we probably expect that to be by committee as this year goes on. Morgan saves that one.
That's a great way to look at it. And, when Finney comes back, I mean, obviously down the stretch, he's the one. Archie wants him to have the ball late in his hands. But throughout the course of the game, we've seen a variety of guys make great plays.
What a pass from Morgan again. And Romeo Langford cutting off ball to draw the foul.
And one of the gifts that Romeo has that we don't talk about enough, the ability to draw fouls. That's what the pro-level players do. He hasn't had the best game today. We've seen him make some spectacular plays, but when you foul out opposing team's best defenders and you get to the line the way he does, that's just something you're born with. He's not afraid of the contact, and he's got that deal on his wrist. It's bothering him some. It's affecting his shot. But that's a new statistic, and Archie Miller's big on that. Juwan Morgan's good at it. Romeo's good at it. Picking up fouls. Tyler Cook at Iowa is great at it. Those top-level players get to the line even when they're not playing their best.
And how about a guy we saw on BTN earlier today, James Palmer Jr. as well for Nebraska. It feels like he just lives at the free throw line.
That's where the great ones live, at the free throw line. Don't shoot it well all the time, but you can get 10 free throws. You're scoring at a high rate.
Langford good on both. He spent some extra time after shoot-around today working on his free throws and expressed some frustration with the results. He's been trying to find that rhythm. Dave Bell underneath draws the foul.
Nice job by Bell. I mean, force the whistle, attack the rim. Hey, if you get your shot blocked, who cares? But he's got a lot of potential, and he's right up there above the rim and went strong with the basketball.
Cleveland native who was a backup big at Ohio State for a couple years. When he left, Caleb Wesson was on the way in.
Well, he's not afraid of Big Ten contact, that's for sure.
4 fouls on Justin Smith. The high expectations surrounding Dave Bell. He had to sit out his transfer season last year. Was banged up, so he's still getting back into his rhythm, and Tony Jasic preached a little bit of patience with him.
Well, this is a great experience for him, and going up against this front line can only make him better.
Woo. Morgan the find to Justin Smith with the slam.
Another assist for Morgan. And we're going to have to put him on our top list, right? But he's climbing up there. I think I dissed him on my last list, but this guy can leap.
Note with the drive for Jacksonville. You love alliteration, too. What was it? Sensational slammers we saw earlier this week?
That's exactly right. My daughter's taught me that. Alliteration. I just learned that. So I've been using it lately, and it's coming in handy.
Well, Morgan has learned to really pass it in his 4 years here in Bloomington. You just saw his stat line. And if you're just tuning in for this second half, maybe you stepped away at halftime. Indiana hasn't had a triple-double since 1971.
Are we going to guarantee we're going to see one today? I'm feeling it, aren't you?
You're guaranteeing it with 9:36 left.
I'm going to guarantee it.
Just settles.
Archie Miller has to come through, though, right? He's got to get the minutes. we don't want to get him hurt either, so he might not be around much longer.
Indiana, of course, with all the injury issues they've dealt with this season.
That's not a Joe Namath type of guarantee there, Mike, right?
Yeah,
that's a
limb,
modern guarantee.
That limb isn't too dangerous for you. Morgan, the corner kick to Al Durham, who cashes in. There are 10 assists for Juwan Morgan. He's at 8 points. His 14th career double-double, and the first time he's ever done it with rebounds and assists. Dave Bell steps out, hits the jumper. First make from the floor for him.
Somebody post up Morgan, would you? I mean, let's run a clear out for him. We got to get him a bucket.
He comes up top to get it. Morgan tried to weave another pass into Deron Davis. Extra pass for Durham again. Hogan goes up for it, and it's deflected out off of Davis and back to Jacksonville.
I talked to Coach Jordan from Butler today, and I talked about Juwan Morgan. We only talked about his three shooting. He said, look, late in that game, we went to some zone because we couldn't handle Morgan on the post. He was beating us with the drives, with the passes. And then he said, then he steps out and hits 4 threes on us. He goes, there's nothing we could do to stop him. And that's where he had his career high. But they were trying to throw the entire playbook at him, but Morgan kept countering everything that they threw at him.
So you weren't camped out at the Crossroads Classic. You were just chatting on the phone with LaVall Jordan, huh?
I mean, he's got Butler right where they need to be. He's the next great coach at Butler. So I wanted to pick his brain a little bit and talk Indiana basketball. And he just raved about Juwan Morgan, but they thought they had a good game plan for him. But when they went to that zone, when Morgan stepped out and started knocking those in, it blew everything up. But he had so much respect for Archie Miller and what this program had done. And boy, there's some good coaches in the state of Indiana.
Morgan went for a career-high 35. He's the reigning Big Ten Player of the Week. He got some National Player of the Week honors as well. And we told you earlier that Archie Miller challenged him coming off Wednesday's win against Central Arkansas. And the scoring only at 8 points, but everything else has been awesome from Morgan this evening.
Yeah, and you look at what Archie said about that. I mean, how many guys who score 35 come back the next game and only take 6 shots? That says a lot about his character.
He's flirting with a triple-double tonight with Indiana in total control at home. Basketball on BTN is brought to you by State Farm, here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today. And by Country Mart, get more per gallon. So much history inside Assembly Hall here in Bloomington. And Jess, why don't you take us through your top 5 Hoosiers of all time?
Well, I grew up coming to the Indianapolis 500. My aunt and uncle, Larry and Ann Hintz, lived in Indianapolis. And so I studied Indiana basketball all those years. And Victor Oladipo.
Juwan Morgan off the baseline out of bounds has just the second triple-double in Indiana program history.
A little bit of a standing O from part of the arena.
Hogan scores. 1971, the only other triple-double in Indiana history. Steve Downing had 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 blocked shots in a win over Michigan. And now Juwan Morgan has joined him. 10 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, capped off by this out of the timeout.
It's hard to make history at Indiana, but Juwan Morgan just did, and no one deserves it more than he does. This is the way he's been playing the entire year. Let's sound the alarm. Juwan Morgan is an All-American. People need to pay more attention to this guy. Incredible performance.
Illegal screen set by Deron Davis. Why do you think that he flies maybe a little bit more under the radar nationally?
He doesn't talk. He doesn't bark. He doesn't jack shots. There's not always a BTN standout. He comes out in the first half sometimes and only shoots it a couple times, gets 5 or 6 assists like he does today. He's not a self-promoter, but he's a winner, I'll tell you that. And I'd love to play with him.
And how about his last 2 games? 35 points, career high, big win over Butler, and then, of course, the game against Central Arkansas in between. And now in the 3rd game this week, he comes out and posts the triple-double. Langford along 3. Lines it up and connects.
I love that shot. Even if he would have missed, I love that shot. That kid's a born scorer. He has to keep putting shots up. Beautiful stroke. Keep shooting it, Romeo.
And for a guy who is typically pretty emotionless on the court, he sneaks the smile. Because before that make, he had been 3 of 23 from 3 in his last 7 games.
You know what? Hoosier fans don't care much about that, right? I mean, you just play. You show up, you get a clean slate every time. You come out and ball. And, I mean, these people have been following him since, what, 6th grade? And I think he's been better than advertised this year. The stats don't tell all the story. Indiana is winning. Archie Miller is recruiting well. And he was obviously the biggest get for Archie so far in his young career in Indiana.
One comparison that has come up around this program for the shooting for Langford is Victor Oladipo, who from three-point range as a freshman, 30%. Sophomore, 21%. Junior, 44% for Victor Oladipo.
Sometimes as a young player, you don't look at the stat sheet after a game. You just play hard, study the tape, keep improving. Too many analytics now, too many statistics. Those don't tell the story. Romeo's had a solid game here today. And when he has an open jumper, he has to take it. We know what he can do in big games. I don't care if he's shooting the 3 well. That'll come. Victor Oladipo, hey, that's worked out pretty well, right?
The 1-1 now for Romeo Langford. Juwan Morgan checks out with 6:29 to go, and he hears it from the Hoosiers faithful. They have made the announcement here as well. Just the 2nd triple-double in program history. Davis on the drive, Hogan on the follow. And Jess, it works out pretty well for Archie Miller. You want to give your guy a chance to get the triple-double, but you can also take him out around the 6.5 mark and not risk any foolish injury.
You're right. You don't want to get a guy hurt, but I like it when the coaches leave their kids in when they're close to making history. That was the right decision.
Clifton Moore into the game. Sophomore from the Philly area picks up the foul, posting up.
Juwan Morgan making history today, and Romeo Langford, if he sticks around long enough, he can make history. Those are my top 5. Steve Alford, Calbert Chaney, Isaiah Thomas, and you have to put Scott May at the top, not only because he was a spectacular player, but he was on 2 of the greatest teams of all time in the history of college basketball.
Note hits his 2nd 3. He's got 14 for Jacksonville.
Note is a nice player. He's come in here and put together a quality game, and he's going to be unstoppable down the stretch. And this is a good experience for him to score against this type of talent.
Durham will go to the free throw line.
You talk to anybody around Indiana, there's always debates about who the best teams are and what if somebody hadn't been injured and things like that. But the 75-76 team of Indiana, there was no debate. They would have gone undefeated both years had Scott May not gotten hurt. And in 76, they dominated all the way, cutting down the nets. Albert Chaney is probably my favorite player in Indiana. I played against Brian Evans. Loved watching Quinn Buckner back in the day. Damon Bailey and Alan Henderson, I played against those 2 guys. So there are guys outside of the top 50 that probably be in the top 5 at other programs, Mike.
Well, speaking of a top 5, Jess, I'll say you've been pretty fearless this week with your list. You're not just going to throw out a bunch of names. You're not ducking from it.
Hey, you have to be bold or you have to stay at home, Mike. This is why people watch the Big Ten Network. They want to know what's going to happen before it happens.
I'm seated beside the 9th-year Iowa senior Jess Settles. Mike Monaco with you from Assembly Hall.
Yeah, that's so bad. I almost said I played against Quinn Buckner. I mean, that's how long I was around college basketball.
Archie Miller with some distaste for that foul call.
2 free throws, Indiana, number 1, JD,
Well, why stop the flow of Jess's Twitter mentions right now? Here is tier 1 of his Big Ten Player of the Year candidates, Juwan Morgan with the triple-double today.
Yeah, Ethan Happ is a stat stuffer. Carson Edwards trying to carry Purdue to some wins, but I don't know. Juwan Morgan, he'd be right there today if the Player of the Year was announced. He's done so many things to help his young team win.
Jake Forster posting up, draws a foul on Note. Are you a guy that thinks team performance has to be a big factor in who wins the major individual awards?
This year, for sure. I mean, that's going to be the knock on Carson. I mean, if he can carry Purdue to the upper half of the Big Ten, then that trophy probably goes through West Lafayette. But yeah, it's going to come down. There are going to be so many different voters who have a different opinion of who's better. Their guards, their forwards. Ethan Happ is going to be stat stuffing all season long. But I think it's going to come down to the guy who wins the conference championship. And I don't think there'll ever be a more rewarding conference championship than this year, because there are no easy games on the schedule for anyone.
Hogan good with the baseline jumper. Well, remember in Wisconsin season opener this year, speaking of triple doubles, Ethan Happ had just Wisconsin's second ever triple double. Josh Gosser had the other in 2011. Happ did it against Coppin State.
Happ is so unique because he doesn't shoot the ball very well. Everyone knows he doesn't shoot it very well, and you still can't stop him from getting to the rim.
Speaking of going to the rim, there's Clifton Moore, who, remember, against Penn State, he had a big first-half impact off the bench.
And he's a factor going forward. He loves the contact, and he gets up above the rim.
Did a good job on the glass Wednesday against Central Arkansas as well.
If they could get a quality 8 to 10 minutes out of him sometime when guys are in foul trouble in the heart of the Big Ten season, that can only help.
Jake Forrester finishes.
I like how Indiana's played over the last 10 minutes. We talked about that. This was a critical time going into the break. They're not playing the score. They're playing the way that they're supposed to play, making the extra pass. And there goes Romeo to the bench. Man, I love watching him. To me, he's better than advertised. He looks good out here. Looks stronger. He's quick. Could end up on the first team as well. He's that good.
15 points for Langford, and his day presumably done. Forster can't stamp the three-point play, but 4 points so far for the freshman from Harrisburg, PA. Note drives, but the foul on the floor is on Al Durham, and it's his third foul. But the story tonight has been Jawan Morgan. Just the second triple-double in Indiana program history. Off the baseline, out of bounds. Morgan doing it all. 10 points, 10 boards, 10 assists in front of the faithful. On BTN, we're in Bloomington, but throughout this day, we've seen 4 different ranked teams in action. Wisconsin got it going around lunchtime today, and Ethan Happ reached 1,000 career rebounds, 15th player in Big Ten history to do that. Nebraska came on later in the afternoon. Isaac Copeland Jr. running the floor. He had a good day for Nebraska. James Palmer Jr. had 23. Nebraska won at home again. And then just before us, Michigan remaining undefeated with the win over Air Force. And Jess, there have been a couple undefeated teams who have been knocked from the ranks of the unbeatens the last couple days, and Michigan not one of them.
Well, they continue to guard. Xavier Simpson is just a spectacular table setter. Matthews has been brilliant. Michigan's going to be very difficult to beat. They have the formula to go undefeated. It's not going to happen, but you're going to have to really knock them off.
Nice job by Jacksonville getting out in transition, hitting the dunk. He's up to 8 points to go along with 10 boards.
And there's no quitting these guys. They're still running the floor. That's a great sign.
Devontae Green still running the offense for Indiana. And he gets into the paint and draws the foul.
Personal foul, Jacksonville, number 21.
It's your first time back here in quite a while. You said you grew up going to the Indy 500. Hadn't been here in about 20 years, and you got family ties here as well.
Well, my Aunt Barb played basketball here in the late 70s and was one of the first couple of women's basketball players to be on a full-ride scholarship. There were partials given out at the time, but Title IX was just kicking in, and that really impacted her life in a huge way. And she's always been a huge Hoosier, and we looked up to her in the way that she played. And interestingly, she said her favorite part of Indiana basketball was taking Bob Knight's psychology of coaching class. Coach Knight came in the first day and said, if you miss one class, you're guaranteed a C, and if you miss 2, you're out of here. Oh, it's a big-time dunk. But she said she never missed it because it was like being in a room with George Washington Carver or Picasso or Einstein. He was just a genius. He was brilliant. And there's always been, some controversy surrounding Coach Knight's career at Indiana and whatever side you're on. But Pat Knight and Tim Knight and Felling and Dockich and all the guys I played against, they were all first class, and they'd all do anything for you. And, you know, when it came to winning championships, graduating players and all that, they did a lot of things right. So it's just great to be back in here, to see the banners, to feel the tradition, to think about my Aunt Barb, and boy, this place is special. You got to come. If you've never been here, right, Mike? I mean, you've got to come visit.
Yeah, you get chills, even
really
if you
do.
have been here. Here's my question. Over under for you, 30 cousins. We hear about this all the time. You got relatives everywhere.
I don't know all their names, Mike.
That wasn't part of the quiz.
I think I'm related to half the people in Iowa and maybe 10% of the people in Indiana.
Forster just went to the free throw line. Anthony McCallum went up to meet him as Forster tried to slam it home. Step back jumpers there for Amani Santos, the redshirt junior from Dorchester, Mass. Al Durham still on the floor for Indiana as well. He's got a career high 18 points, and he's with it. Moore wants it and draws a foul on the interior. Well, Jawan Morgan's day has been stellar. A triple-double, 10 points, 10 boards, and boy, the passing good with 10 assists.
He took Archie Miller's challenge, stepped up his game, was on the attack early, lifted up his teammates. Perfect all-around game for Jawan Morgan. Maybe the early front runner for Player of the Year of the Big Ten, and definitely in the conversation for an All-American team.
National Player of the Week honors coming into this week. And a triple-double on Saturday to head into the holiday break with 12 days before Indiana's next game after tonight. Indiana going deeper down the bench. Johnny Jager, the walk-on from right here in Bloomington. Bloomington South product. There's number 2. He's into the game. As Forster scores 2 more, he's up to 7.
Great seal by Forster. Tremendous pass inside. Not playing the score, but playing the right way. And all these youngsters look like they can give quality minutes if Indiana starters get in foul trouble.
Yeah, Archie Miller describes Jake Forster as just a live wire. He is so energetic, and he had scored 8 points all season before this week, and now he's got 15 these last 2 games. Demezy Anderson, fellow freshman, misfires from 3. Santos has not got his shooting going yet for Jacksonville, though they expect him to shoot better in ASUN play. Anderson carries, turnover number 12 for the Hoosiers. Well, we showed you all the games that came earlier before us here on BTN. A huge one that you heard Mike Hall talk about coming up after this one, the bragging rights game with so many implications. Missouri, Illinois. Trent Frazier last year, you heard Mike say 22 points for the Fighting Illini.
Well, Mike's Missouri Tigers, they better step up, right? They're going to rename this the Illinois Classic if Missouri doesn't come to play. But that's all. You throw the records out in that game. It's always a tremendous battle, and someday I got to get to one of those.
Jacksonville with the basket on the baseline for Workman. You got any favorite rivalry memories from your time?
And we always battled with Illinois back when they were playing at a high level, and that Orange Crush student section is very difficult to play against. But Illinois and Iowa have some bad blood going way back.
B.J. Blackman, the redshirt sophomore from Marion, Indiana, on the way to the rim. Brother, of course, of James, scored more than 1,200 points here. Follow too strong from Workman, and the shot clock off for Indiana. The Hoosiers will head into the holiday break at 11-2, 2-0 in the Big Ten. 12 days from now, they will get back into Big Ten play against Illinois. But the story tonight, Jawan Morgan, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. And he leads the Hoosiers in a 30-point win over Jacksonville. Steve Downing had a triple-double in 1971. Jawan Morgan today in the final few days of 2018 with the second triple-double in program history, and that wraps it up from Bloomington. Indiana defeats Jacksonville. Coming up next, it's Illinois and Missouri in bragging rights. So for Jess Settles, our entire BTN crew, Mike Monaco saying, let's send it to our Chicago studios for a Big Ten game break.